If you're diabetic and taking vitamin B12 every single day, you could be making a dangerous mistake that's actually making your diabetes worse. And I'm not talking about some minor side effect here. I'm talking about a mistake that could send your blood sugar spiraling out of control, damage your kidneys, and in some cases, even mask serious complications that could put you in the hospital. This might sound shocking, but vitamin B12, the same supplement that millions of diabetics take daily thinking it's helping them, could actually be working against you if you don't know these 9 critical facts. And the worst part? Most doctors don't even mention these warnings when they prescribe B12 or recommend it for diabetic neuropathy. That's why in this video, we're going to break down exactly what every diabetic needs to know before taking B12 supplements, so you can get the benefits without putting your health at risk. Before we start, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so this important information reaches more people who need it. The hidden connection between B12 and blood sugar. Here's what most people don't realize. Vitamin B12 doesn't just support your nerves and energy levels. It plays a direct role in how your body processes glucose and responds to insulin. And for diabetics, this connection can be both a blessing and a curse. B12 is essential for proper nerve function, which is why it's often recommended for diabetic neuropathy. But here's the problem. When you take high doses of B12 every day, without understanding how it interacts with your diabetes medications and blood sugar patterns, you can actually create more problems than you solve. Studies show that certain forms of B12 can interfere with how your body responds to insulin, potentially making your blood sugar harder to control. And if you're already struggling with glucose management, this could be the difference between stable numbers and dangerous spikes. Mistake number 1. Taking B12 without knowing your actual levels. The biggest mistake diabetics make with B12 is starting supplementation without getting proper testing first. And I'm not just talking about a basic B12 blood test. Most doctors order serum B12, but that test can be completely misleading, especially for diabetics. Here's why. Diabetes itself can affect how B12 shows up in your blood. High glucose levels can interfere with the transport proteins that carry B12, making your blood levels appear normal even when your cells are actually deficient. It's like checking if your car has gas by looking at the fuel cap instead of the actual tank. The more accurate test is methylmalonic acid, or MMA. This test shows whether your cells are actually using B12 properly. But most diabetics never get this test, so they end up either taking B12 they don't need or not taking enough when they actually do need it. And here's the dangerous part. If you're taking B12 based on inaccurate test results, you could be masking other serious deficiencies or health issues that are actually causing your symptoms. Mistake number 2. Ignoring the metformin connection. If you're taking metformin, one of the most common diabetes medications, you absolutely need to know this. Metformin can severely deplete your B12 levels over time, sometimes by as much as 30%. But here's what most people don't know. This depletion happens slowly, often taking years to show up in blood tests. Many diabetics on metformin start feeling tired, experiencing numbness in their hands and feet, or having trouble concentrating. They assume it's just their diabetes getting worse, but it could actually be B12 deficiency caused by their medication. The problem is, once you start taking B12 to fix this deficiency, you need to be extremely careful about timing and dosage. Taking too much B12 while on metformin can actually interfere with how the medication works, potentially making your blood sugar control worse. Most doctors recommend taking B12 at least 2 hours away from metformin, but many patients are never told this. They take both at the same time, wondering why their numbers aren't improving despite supplementation. Mistake number 3. Choosing the wrong form of B12. Not all B12 supplements are created equal, and for diabetics, choosing the wrong form can be particularly problematic. The most common form you'll find in stores is cyanocobalamin, but this might not be the best choice if you have diabetes. Cyanocobalamin contains a cyanide molecule that your body has to process and eliminate. For healthy people, this isn't usually a problem. But diabetics often have compromised kidney function, and adding extra toxins that need to be filtered out can put additional stress on already overworked kidneys. The better choice for most diabetics is methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin. These forms are more easily absorbed and don't require your kidneys to process toxic byproducts. But here's the catch. They're also more potent, which means you need to be even more careful about dosing. Many diabetics make the mistake of switching from cyanocobalamin to methylcobalamin without adjusting their dose, essentially giving themselves a massive overdose without realizing it. Mistake number 4. Taking B12 every day without cycling. This is probably the most overlooked mistake, and it's one that could be sabotaging your diabetes management. Your body can store B12 for months, even years. Unlike water-soluble vitamins that get flushed out daily, B12 builds up in your system over time. Taking high doses every single day can lead to a condition called functional B12 deficiency. Sounds contradictory, right? But it happens when you have plenty of B12 in your blood, but your cells can't actually use it properly. This is especially common in diabetics because high glucose levels can interfere with cellular uptake. The solution isn't to take more B12. It's to cycle your supplementation. Many experts recommend taking B12 for 5 days, then taking 2 days off. This gives your body time to properly utilize what you've taken and prevents the cellular resistance that can develop with constant high doses. But most diabetics are never told this. They take the same dose every day for years, wondering why their neuropathy isn't improving despite adequate B12 levels. Mistake number 5. Ignoring other B vitamins. B12 doesn't work alone. It functions as part of a complex system that includes folate, B6, and other B vitamins. For diabetics, this relationship is even more critical because diabetes itself can deplete multiple B vitamins simultaneously. Taking high doses of B12 without supporting the other B vitamins can actually create imbalances that make your diabetes harder to manage. For example, too much B12 without enough folate can lead to a condition called folate trap, where your cells can't properly use either vitamin. This is particularly dangerous for diabetics because folate is essential for proper insulin function and glucose metabolism. When you create a folate trap by taking isolated B12, you could actually be making your blood sugar control worse. The solution is to take a balanced B-complex supplement along with your B12, but most diabetics are never told this. They focus solely on B12 for their neuropathy, inadvertently creating other nutritional imbalances. Mistake number 6. Not timing B12 with your meals and medications. The timing of when you take B12 can dramatically affect both its absorption and its impact on your blood sugar. B12 absorption requires stomach acid and something called intrinsic factor, both of which are affected by when and what you eat. Many diabetics take B12 on an empty stomach, thinking it will be absorbed better. But this can actually reduce absorption and cause stomach upset. The better approach is to take B12 with a small amount of food, preferably something that contains a little protein to stimulate stomach acid production. But here's where it gets tricky for diabetics. You also need to consider how B12 timing affects your blood sugar patterns. Some people find that B12 gives them energy, which can slightly raise blood sugar. Others find it helps with glucose metabolism, which can lower blood sugar. The key is to monitor your blood sugar patterns when you start B12 supplementation and adjust your timing accordingly. Take it at the same time each day and track how it affects your numbers. This information is crucial for fine-tuning your diabetes management. Mistake number 7. Overlooking B12's effect on sleep and stress. This is one that catches many diabetics off guard. B12 plays a role in neurotransmitter production, including those that affect sleep and stress response. For diabetics, this connection is particularly important because both poor sleep and chronic stress can wreak havoc on blood sugar control. Some diabetics find that taking B12, especially methylcobalamin, in the evening can interfere with sleep. They lie awake feeling wired, which then leads to elevated morning blood sugar due to poor sleep quality. Others find that B12 helps them sleep better by supporting nervous system function. The problem is, most people don't make this connection. They start taking B12 for neuropathy, their sleep gets disrupted, their blood sugar control gets worse, and they assume their diabetes is progressing. They never realize that the timing of their B12 supplementation could be the culprit. If you're taking B12 and experiencing sleep issues, try taking it earlier in the day, preferably in the morning. Monitor how this affects both your energy levels and your blood sugar patterns throughout the day. Mistake number 8. Not considering genetic factors. This is cutting-edge information that most doctors don't even know about yet. Some people have genetic variations that affect how they process B12. The most common is a mutation in the MTHFR gene, which affects how your body converts folate and can impact B12 utilization. For diabetics with MTHFR mutations, standard B12 supplementation might not work as expected. They might need specific forms of B12 or additional cofactors to get the full benefit. Without knowing about these genetic factors, they could be taking B12 for months or years without seeing improvement in their neuropathy or energy levels. While genetic testing isn't necessary for everyone, it's worth considering if you've been taking B12 consistently without seeing the results you expected. A simple saliva test can reveal whether you have genetic variations that might affect your B12 needs. Mistake number 9. Stopping B12 abruptly. The final mistake is one that can actually be dangerous. If you've been taking high doses of B12 for an extended period, stopping suddenly can cause rebound deficiency symptoms. This is especially problematic for diabetics because the symptoms of B12 deficiency can mimic diabetic complications. When you stop B12 abruptly, you might experience increased neuropathy, fatigue, mood changes, or cognitive issues. Many diabetics panic, thinking their diabetes is getting worse when it's actually just B12 withdrawal. The safer approach is to gradually reduce your B12 dose over several weeks while monitoring your symptoms. This gives your body time to adjust and helps you determine the minimum effective dose for your individual needs. Vitamin B12 can be incredibly beneficial for diabetics, especially those dealing with neuropathy or taking metformin. But like any supplement, it needs to be used intelligently. The key is understanding how B12 interacts with your diabetes, your medications, and your individual biochemistry. Don't just start taking B12 because someone told you it's good for diabetics. Get proper testing, choose the right form, consider timing and cycling, and monitor how it affects your blood sugar patterns. And most importantly, work with a healthcare provider who understands these nuances. Remember, supplements are meant to support your diabetes management, not replace proper medical care. If you're experiencing symptoms of neuropathy or B12 deficiency, don't try to self-treat. Get proper evaluation and guidance from someone who understands both diabetes and nutritional medicine. Thanks for watching. If you found this information helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more evidence-based health videos. Stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.